So if you're thinking about buying your first property as a first home and you're getting ready for that, I'm going to share with you the investor's template, the questions and to-do list and checklist, so you can apply that knowledge into your buying your first home. That's gonna make you buy much better property that will set you apart. So in the future, if you decide to become an investor, your first home will become your first investment property. Hi, my name is Shawn, your trusty realtor. So investors look at a property, the first thing that they do is the cash flow. They assume that they're going to put down 25% down payment, and then can cash flow after all the house payments are paid. So for example, if they're looking at a $500,000 home, $125,000 will be their 25% down payment. And then after that, the other 75% of the purchase price will be financed. And so they have to still pay the property tax, insurance, management fee, and other maybe utility if they include that in the rental agreement. Can that all covered by the rental amount that they're going to get monthly? Once that number is break even or positive cash flow, investors would like to make an offer and buy that property, because theoretically you hold that property, tenant pays for the house payment for the next 25 years, and that house is free and clear for the investment. In the meantime, the investor enjoy about $50 to $200 every month cash flow, right? So if you apply that rule to your first home buying process, if you can find that property, you are going to do so much better. However, in the current market, especially the interest rate is 6%, it's almost impossible to find a property that can cash flow at 25% down payment, especially if it's listed on MLS. So the next question for you is, if it doesn't cash flow now, how long will it take to cash flow? So for example, you wait about 3 to 5 years. Can the rental rate go so much higher? Can that cover that in the current 6% mortgage rate? Or if the mortgage rate drops below 5%, you may be able to refinance that, bring that monthly payment down, and at that point, can that the rental income at that time can cover that 100%? In the current situation, based on the Portland, Oregon market, I'm thinking it may need to be waited about 5 years, possibly. Depending on where you are, that number may fluctuate quite a bit. And so you need to run that number. And the second question, how long will I wait until the property does positive cash flow when it comes to finding your first property and set your part, like I said, to become an investor if you want it to be in the future. The second part is the location. They say location, location, location when it comes to real estate, right? That is true in some way, but in my opinion, it's location, price, and condition. But let's talk about the location. When you're looking at different cities, different states, something that I would be concerned the most might be how many different industries are in that city. I think that's really important. If there's, let's say, one big college, that's the like 70-80% of the economy in that town. What happens if the college closes down? Most of the metro areas are pretty well diversified, many different industries. So for example, Portland, Oregon, we have tech industry, healthcare industry, other like manufacturing industry, and so many small businesses. It creates this very healthy economy, and I think that's really important. So my neighborhood, Bethany, is really strong in home price because of the proximity to Intel, Nike, OHSU, Columbia Sports, Adidas, and bunch of other tech companies. It supports that this neighborhood, the west side, or even including the east side of the real estate value, very strong. One other extreme bad case could be if it's a town that's based on the military base. So most of the economy is driven by the military base. That's another bad sign, because if the military base closes down, the town could actually die. Third thing is, are there improvement potential in any of the properties? For example, unfinished basement that you can spend maybe $20,000 to increase 800 square feet to the house. 2 bedroom and add in another full bathroom. That can add a lot to the home value. The attached garage or detached garage isn't that well used. Maybe finishing that out to a studio or living space could again add that rentability, and the marketability or livability very much increased. That adds the value to the home. Accessory dwelling units, ADUs, whether it's separate from the house or included in the house, if there's space like that or big enough yard to build a separate structure or extend the home, those are the opportunities that could be made by the improvements that can add a lot of value to the real estate. So when you're looking for your first home, it would be a great idea if you see any of those potential, because that could give you much better return down the road. The next factor that I would look at if I'm investor looking for a property, are there any rental restrictions? Especially the homeowners associations are pretty notorious to have rules against rental. If investors thinking about doing a short-term rental, which is like 30 days or less, there are many cities that's prohibiting short-term rental. So you need to check on that as well if your plan is to do a short-term rental on an investment property. As a first-time buyer, that may be too far to predict, so that at least you can rent out by 1 year lease, 2 year lease type of thing. At least that needs to be available. And so that filters out a lot of condominiums, because most of the condominiums have rental restriction rules. I say in the Portland Metro, probably about 85%, 90% of the buildings have the rental restrictions, or at least short-term rental restrictions. The other thing that I will look at is what kind of properties rent the best. In the current market where I am right now, single family wise, 3-bedroom, 2 beds are probably the most popular configuration. So those are going to be my first choice. My second choice might be duplexes, 2 or 3 bedrooms with 1 or 2 baths. Those can rent really well. You need to look into what kind of properties rent the best in your market. That is a hat that investors typically wear. One completely different ways to look at it is put on a renter's hat and think, when I look at a property, do I want to rent this property? Do I want to live here? Do I have enough space? Is it clean? Is it updated? Is layout convenient? Is it 2-level or 3-level, which is really hard to live in? Is it in a safe neighborhood? Are there some extra parking space if I have my friends over? Do I have space for my pets? Do I have space for my kids? Are there playgrounds for my kids to go to? How are the schools? So those are the questions that I'll be asking as a renter. And that gives the answer to you, the first-time buyer / future investor. Oh, this property is good. This property has more worth because there are more benefits that the renters are looking for. So to sum this up, you basically wear investor's hat or renter's hat and ask these questions that investors are going to ask when they look for an investment property, and what renters are going to be looking for when they're thinking about renting a place. If it checks off a lot of those boxes, that's a great property. And at that point, you need to decide what kind of budget and how long you want to wait until it can cash flow. That will set you apart way better than any other strategy for the first-time buyers out there. I hope this was helpful. If you like this content, please hit that like button and subscribe so more buyers like yourself can see this. And if you look for a property in the Portland metro area, I'm here to help out. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.